Earth 3. Though several versions have existed through the years and various storylines, some suffering less than desirable fates, one thing has always been true. It's definitely not the preferable Earth or universe to live in. A world where crime is basically just another ordinary daily task, and, we'll say introducing people to the afterlife seems to really be no big deal. One would easily believe that where there essentially is a Justice League, it's run by a bunch of superpowered criminals. Enter the Crime Syndicate. Now, if that wasn't ominous enough, the Crime Syndicate in this case consists of Ultraman, the essential alternate reality version of Superman, Superwoman, the alternate reality version of Wonder Woman, Power Ring, I think the name kind of gives it away that this is a Green Lantern, the John Stewart Green Lantern or Emerald Knight, Owlman, or this world's version of Batman, among others like Johnny Quick and Atomica. Well, thanks to McFarlane Toys, we get the chance to reenact one of the greatest battles, or at least most interesting battles this world has seen across all the storylines thus far. The battle with Staro. Yeah. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects. And remember, I'll be posting a new video at least once a week, if not more. And if that sounds of interest to you, please click that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the McFarlane Toys 7-inch scale Crime Syndicate 4-figure Staro Build-A-Figure Wave. Alright, hey everyone, welcome back, and here we have it, the Crime Syndicate. 4 characters coming together to build Staro so that they can have someone to fight. Dare I say, squad goals. Look at all these 4. Okay, so let's start diving into them, right? So I'm just going to get them out of the way, and we're going to do it one at a time. And we'll start with Superwoman. How about that? Because she's in the front right there. Pardon the noise as I accidentally drop these figures. Don't judge me, but here we go. All right, so Superwoman in the game. We're going to start first with this one. Let's look at the back. There we've got some artwork. So it's probably going to be the same across all 4, right? As usual, we see the image of what we're building. We're building old Staro, the Conqueror, that great hive mind character that we see. Superwoman Crime Syndicate shows us the part that we're getting to build Staro. And then, of course, as things were revealed, we had a little blank out, so we didn't know who was coming. But now we've got everybody, so we know. Over here on the side, Superwoman Crime Syndicate, as we mentioned. Not the kind of Justice League type group you want to come into contact with. Superwoman on the side, a little bit of the window, and then here on the front, there she is with our piece of Staro and the collective build. Okay, let's pop in. What do you say? Now this one, of course, being the Crime Syndicate or Earth 3 version of essentially Diana or Wonder Woman, you know, but this is the criminal version. What would happen if we had a criminal version of a Wonder Woman? So we're going to pull her. Oh my goodness, we are attached to the cardboard for the first time. So we are, before we can even get anything out of the way, I'm going to have to chop these things off. I guess because old Staro had so much going on, he had to be supported pretty heavily. Or they. It? She? They had to be supported pretty heavily. Okay, well, fortunately, that's right out of the way. There's our stand. There's our comic books as normal. Oh, look, there we go. Zatara. Dare I mention it again? Let's see a great Zatara figure if anybody from McFarlane Toys ever sees this. There's our Superwoman trading card, which this one, a lot of times we see artwork of the character, right? But this one's an actual, either a photo or a rendering of the action figure that we are about to take a look at, if I'll stop rambling. Okay, so let's pull our Staro pieces off. We're gonna work on those a little bit later as we have all the pieces to assemble old Starry. So we've got a little body hugger right there to go for the mind, and let's cut old Wonder Woman, Superwoman out. I should call her by the right name because it's not the Wonder Woman that we know. Okay. Pop some of these out of the way so we don't have a big wrestling match and pulling it out. So always be careful when popping these loose. I did have someone mention that the razor blade, pardon the noise, makes them a little nervous. So yeah, definitely be careful and don't do it. Kids without adult supervision, want to be careful with those blades, right? So there we go. There's our girl, old Superwoman. And you know what? I'm happy to see McFarlane Toys make some some more female characters, right? Because, and I do believe I read, it was like an interview where Todd said, you know, just based on the numbers, female characters don't really sell that regularly. So that being said, hey, if you have any interest of the ones that they release, pick some up, because the more numbers that come out, the more possibility we have of seeing more releases. And there are a lot of fantastic, strong characters out there that we'd love to see. So let's talk about this one. Okay, so sculpt, looking good, right? The fun part is you're dealing with paint apps. There is a lot of exposed flesh, so as long as we're dealing with well and properly colored and sculpted, then there's not much to worry about. But let's start with the good old head as usual, right? So let's check it out. She looks kind of suspect. She's like, yeah, what are you doing? Okay, so looking at the face, I'm going to say the sculpt looks pretty solid. Right, hopefully you can see that there. There's some good coloring in there, a little bit of darker color, like on the cheeks, around the eyes a little bit. She's kind of looking straight, almost slightly to the side, but not as much as you've seen with some of the McFarlane toys where it's just a straight side eye going on. This is just slightly in that direction, but not at you. A nice shine on the mouth, which is a darker red to indicate or imply that there's lipstick on. So they did a great job of giving that with having that shine on there. The hair is black, very well sculpted, with a lot of individual strands showing. I mean, they're not individual. And you've got kind of spikes coming off the back there, and it's got a blue wash on it. I don't know if you can see that or if that's, yeah, there we go. It's coming through pretty well. It's like a nice dark blue to kind of highlight it, give it some color, give it some depth. Pretty good. And all in all, paint apps are looking pretty good on that. So let's check out some flexibility. Side to side, I'm going to judge the flexibility. I can't even get focus right. So let's do that. So side to side, decent, not bad. I can't say that the hair is getting in the way or anything like that. I think it's just not the best side to side. Now, the head is separate from the neck, which is part of the torso, so that is a one-piece thing, but it's always good to see the head rolling around on a ball to help have it some more flexibility. Up and down, if we look at it from a silhouette or a side view, a profile is the word I'm looking for, not the best, right? Because that's more like a straight on, and that's a little bit down. If I push it, it can go farther down, but it slowly wants to ride itself back up. Okay, but most importantly, there we go. With no effort at all, double exorcist rotation. So excellent to see that. Shoulders, we've got butterfly joints in here. Even though we're dealing with that flesh tone, they still popped in those butterfly joints. They don't really seem to have a lot of travel, and I don't want to push them too much, but you can kind of tell that it is there. This one just doesn't really move. The one on this side does have mobility, so I think this one might just be a little bit frozen. So there we go. A little bit of effort there. That busted it free. Kind of pushed it in a little bit. So be careful with that stuff. Got a good shoulder roll going on there, right? Nice shrug. But okay, back to the business. So rotation looking great, up and down, solid. We've got, obviously, a little bit of bicep and tricep shift. It's not a full rotation, right? Because it's got that kind of U shape, so it gets caught. And I don't want to force it too much, right? Because it's plastic. If we force it too much, we can cause damage. So just, be mindful of that. It's not as straight across or as easy to rotate with the musculature. It just kind of gets in the way. Double elbow with pins, but pretty solid flexibility there. I'm not mad about the pins by any stretch. It's just fun to highlight whether they're there or not. No forearm, but the wrist does rotate, and we have the back and forth on the wrist. I don't know if that'll really move to let us have too much. Yeah, we can get some wiggle in there. There we go. Just needs to break free a little bit. So good wrist wiggle. All right, same thing on the other side. Looks like we've got a little bit of an imperfection there. I don't know if you can see it. So like, yeah, there we go. So a little bit of imperfection. Looks like some paint maybe rubbed off, or just, something happened with the plastic. No big deal. I won't cry about it. Wrist, same thing. We got good wiggle on that. Good rotation, good wiggle all the way around. So there we go. She is ready to have that broken wrist look. Okay. Obviously, we don't have a mid-torso one right there, although we do have a little bit of waist rotation. What I will say is this, kind of like the Catwoman that we saw in the Solomon Grundy Build-A-Figure, it has this high piece going on right here. And what that does is it does mask the line, the seam, but it also kind of hinders the movement ever so slightly, because you can kind of feel she's covered in this rubberized plastic, this top, right? Because it's a separate piece that is laid over that. but this is also the rubberized plastic, so they kind of rub together a little bit, and it makes it a little bit tough to rotate, but not impossible, right? So it's not really a hindrance too much. It's just a little bit. The back little flap here, as you can see, it is glued, but apparently not. That side had a little bit of a glue issue because it pulled right up when I looked at it. This side, a little bit more firmly attached, so just be careful with the glue on that. It could be, maybe mine was just a isolated one, but just be careful if you mess with that when you're opening it up. So legs, that same joint that we're used to. Pretty good flexibility coming through, right? Our Superwoman, not so bad. We've got double knee. Let's see if this one wants to bend. Yep, there we go. So bending pretty well. Great flexibility there. That's really good. So I like to see that. Good for a nice little rising knee and a cool little kick coming from it. No calf rotation hidden amongst the wraps here from the shoes, although that is fantastic. I mean, they did a great job with that and painting it on it. So up and down on the foot, and we've got good rotation on it, so we can do a little bit of an ankle breaker slash a kick. So there we go. And the same thing on both sides as far as legs and rotations and all that. And of course we've got our toe articulation, which that looks painful. I don't know what it is about seeing a barefoot or almost barefoot being able to do that looks so painful when all the other shoes do that too. I mean, obviously that's happening to the foot inside, but seeing it just, gosh, it looks so painful. Paint apps. We already looked at the head, pretty good. So let's look at the silver on the black here. Not a lot necessary, as we mentioned. So some of the silver, a little bit imperfect on the lines there, but you know, it's okay because the silver and black, there's something about it that it's not so noticeable once you have it from a little bit of a distance. I say that, but now that I know that it's there, I can see it. The S, I don't know what it is, looks a little sloppy. It almost looks like the silver didn't quite lay as precisely as they want it to, and maybe not as thick, because it looks like it's a little bit sloppy and a little bit of black poking through. On the forearms, right, looking pretty good, yeah. Good paint. It almost looks like it's a slightly different shade from the silver here, but probably because it's silver over this rubbery black, whereas these might be a little bit different material, although they feel kind of soft, almost like the rubbery material. But not a bad job. And if we look at the lace or the ties from the shoe that travel up the leg, they did a good job with the face of it. And what I mean by that is if you look at where it's raised off the leg, the three-dimensional portion of it, it's not black there. Granted, I get it. That would be a very tough thing to get precise with all of these little details, all these little angles. And when you've got it straight on, it's totally fine, right? And when you look close, that's when you have an issue with it. Can't complain. The only thing that I would throw in there, given that, the caveat is, you notice how thin this one is over here. It's almost, it missed a little bit, and this one's kind of thin. Notice the thickness of this one, right? It's a little bit better done. So it's possible for it to be a little bit more precise. That's the only thing I'll say on there. Otherwise, no real issues with it. I mean, they did a pretty solid job. We got paint on the back here. Here's a little bit where it was off and some black traveled onto the leg. And then the back here, they did take the time to kind of add a little bit of pinkish shading in between, down the spine right here. I don't know if you can kind of tell, but they did a little bit to kind of give the flesh tone some shading, like for the muscles, and just kind of show a little bit of depth and a little bit of tone, because, I mean, she's still an Amazonian, even if she's a criminal. Okay, moving on. So we've got a long ways to go. Let's go with Owlman, because he's the next one that I grabbed. The bad version of Batman. I'm not going to say the bad version of Bruce Wayne, because this is Thomas Wayne Jr., right? Mr. I am responsible, technically, for my family's demise, right? Including Bruce. Especially Bruce, actually. He did Bruce, right? And the good old faithful butler Alfred came and helped hose the parents, right? Unless I've got that wrong. That's from my memory. All right, well, let's pull that out. There is our stand, and there is our, yet again, either rendering. I'm going to go with rendering. It was a little too smooth to be a figure. So rendering of old Owlman of the Crime Syndicate, as usual. And let's check out what we got here. Let's cut some little rubbery elastics. I tell you, there's a pile of these throughout this room, from just cutting them and discarding them, and not properly discarding them. So yeah, you know, we've got a figure to collect, we've got a card to collect, and we've got rubbery elastic things to collect. So gosh, thank you, McFarlane Toys, for just going that extra mile and giving us more. I ramble as I cut, because I know this has to be kind of boring. All right, we're almost there. There we go. All right, I'm going to say that's good enough. We should be able to remove, look, there's our little body grabber for Owlman. We got some Staro legs, appendages coming out, and coming out, ooh, they're like a flexy material. I like that. I look forward to putting that one together. I am excited about Staro. All right, Owlman, Mr. Thomas Wayne Jr., it's free. And so is my light, because I just whacked it trying to clean this stuff off. All right, now here's our guy. The Crime Syndicate Earth 3 version of Batman, right? Okay. Now let's take a closer look at the guy. So first impressions, pretty cool looking, right? I mean, he may be a bad guy. He may take very interesting approaches to helping keep Gotham under control, but gosh, if he doesn't look cool, right? And he's had a lot of different roles in a lot of different series. You know, he's done different things, good things, bad things. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at the good and the bad of this figure. So let's get some focus in here. Now, looking at the face, look at that, just the absolute sculpting of this, right? He definitely looks like an owl. He definitely looks like Owlman. Looking at the eyes or the goggles that he's got there, everything seems okay. I can see kind of a little bit of imperfection on the yellowish orange right there for the eye. It's not quite a full circle. This one's a little bit better done. The face, this little chin piece kind of looks not even, right? We'll say asymmetrical. And up here, I don't know if I'm seeing it right or not. Tell me if I'm crazy or if you see it. Looks like a little bit of the black is showing through. Maybe not as much flesh tone was used as could have been for this. A little bit of pinkish color for the lips, so that's cool. Very subtle on there. They didn't really want to push it too far. But, I mean, all in all, it looks pretty good. Let's check out some flexibility here. Okay, so first and foremost, we've got head on a ball, which is great. It is attached to a neck, which seems like it is either part of the torso or firmly fixed and doesn't want to move. So either way, we have this as our point of movement. So let's give a little bit of distance here and check out some flexibility. So side to side, okay, right? So he'll go a little bit of side to side. And then let's look at up and down. Let's take this profile. So up, not bad. Down is pretty solid, right? That's a good down in contrast to the up, which is more, so it's just slightly up. It's not at least looking straight like a lot of figures end up doing. But you know what? Instead of Exorcist, let's see if he's an owl. Yes, he's got full owl. He can look behind himself. He can turn around. But let's go, let's make it full Exorcist. Yep, double spin around, totally clear. No issues with that one. So great there. Let's take a look at these shoulders. Move the rubberized plastic of the cape. I love that right there, kind of like feathers. So there's our butterfly joint in there, and we have good rotation there, up and down. And we have a bicep tricep swivel rotation right there. Yep, and this one does have the ability to travel all around just by the way that it was done. Right, so it rides on top of this one instead of with Superwoman, they kind of met together, and that's what kind of made them block. This one just rides on top of a post inside of there. So double elbow with pins, no big deal. Do we have any wrist rotation or forearm? No forearm, but we do have a pretty cool little owl type gauntlet on there. And let's see what the wrist does. Good rotation there, and we've got the, yep, we've got wiggle capability. That good old McFarlane wrist wiggle. Same thing over here, same thing with the wrist wiggle, because we've got that same joint that can rotate all kinds of different ways and move up and down. Torso, lower torso, like the rib cage, we have some rotation and a little bit of flexibility there. Not a lot of forward, because this little point of the costume, that front armor piece, blocks downward movement. It flexes a little bit and gets in the way. Up is a little bit better because there's not a lot in, there's nothing in the back to block it, right? There's just a little bit more clearance. Maybe some of the musculature actually can kind of stop it, but still it does travel pretty far. What a fancy little pose we've got right there, right? Anyway, so let's take it out. Yep, we've got leg removal, very easy, so that's an excellent feature, you know, in case he wants to give a leg for the, you know what, popping that back on, a little bit of a challenge. There we go. All right, just a little bit of effort, got it on there. We do have waist rotation, so the hips do let you move. The belt seems to be fixed in place, yep, attached, so that's good. It's not going to travel on us. Now let's test the legs, especially after we just stuck this one back on. As you can see, I don't quite have it all the way because it's still a little bent right there. Hopefully we're not dealing with a flaw in the build, but hey, it's back on right now and it's holding, and no, it's not wanting to hold. So be careful with that one, be mindful of that leg. So I'm just going to be quite cautious in it. I'll work on it a little bit off camera before we do the 360. I'm not going to tie us up with that one, but just be careful. Double knee with visible pins, so excellent flexibility there. We're just going to leave it off. We're just going to do it this way. So we've got double pin knee with excellent flexibility. Calf rotation, none there, but we do have the good up and down and rotation and good old ankle breaker for the foot and ankle area. Same thing on the other side, you know, as far as flexibility and things like that. Let's take a look at some of our paint apps. Right, so we already looked at the face, and we know some of the opportunities there. I still stand firm that there could have been a little bit more flesh tone on there. A lot of the stuff is molded plastic, whether it's a rubberized plastic or a harder. You know, we've got the light gray, a rubbery plastic. In here we have some yellowish paint apps for that, and they're looking okay, but let's get really close on this one. See what we can come up with. Yeah, you know what? Even really close, it still looks pretty good. Same thing with the belt. Could have done for some a little bit of paint on those, right? To add to the little buttons, maybe have them pop out just a little bit more, slightly different color, maybe a little bit different gray or black. Even some of the details on here, right? Just a slightly darker gray wash on these things to pull out all these details of sculpting. I know I say it every time, and I feel like I can't say it enough because I would just love to see that. I'm just always in awe of what these artists can do, and I wish that they were able to highlight it even more. Like they had the flexibility. Like imagine a little bit slightly darker gray to pop that out. Let's take a look at the cape, okay, before we take too much time. Got the feather look to it. It's nice flexible rubber, and yeah, it looks pretty good. I do appreciate the flexibility of it. It doesn't feel like it's going to be too heavy, and the fact that it curves forward might help with some of the center of gravity for posing. Now we do still have a loose leg. Let's see how he stands on his own. Does he do it? Very easily. He wants to fall backwards, so the cape is a challenge. Not wanting to stand on his own, and not wanting to focus on my own. So again, sorry about the challenge on the focus, but there we go. And let's move on to the next one, right? Who do we have now? We have, oh yes, the Emerald Knight Power Ring, the Jon Stewart version from the Crime Syndicate world, right? So again, you know, the back all the same. The packaging is all the same. That's why we're not taking too big of a lap around that one, because this is a long one, right? We're digging through 4 characters to build a 5th. And believe me, as you can tell, I can ramble. All right. So let's get old John out. This one's another one that's got Staro strapped in a little bit. So we've got to start with some cuts. Okay, got that one and that one. This one probably should be loose, and that one is loose. Good deal. So before we do that, there's our stand. There's our card, yet another rendering of the figure. And so far, so great in the renderings and the figures matching up. So let's pop some more of these little guys. Let's try over here maybe. This is always the fun part, right? Everybody enjoys watching these elastics get cut. Okay, there's that one. Almost there. All right. Cut this last Staro one, and we're just going to work with what we've got. The body hugger pops right out. So I like that everybody got their own body hugger, right? So you don't have to choose who may have gotten, we'll say, possessed by good old Staro. Everybody gets an opportunity, so that's good, right? Staro is here for everyone with the hive mind, separating out and having lots of them. So there's our piece, joined legs together instead of separate on that one. So that's cool. All right, here's our guy, Power Ring. The Jon Stewart version of what would have been a Green Lantern, but it's called an Emerald Knight in the Crime Syndicate Earth 3 world. Almost looks like he's sponsored by Xbox. I'm going to go ahead and say it. You may have already been thinking it, but Yeah, he definitely looks like he's sponsored by Xbox. But okay, let's get going. Enough time wasted on that. Let's get close and let's take a look at that face, huh? What do we say? Look at that. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's pretty well done. The good news is, I mean, we're just dealing with flesh tone and a little bit of a mask, right? So let's see the precision of this mask application. And I'm gonna say it's a good job, right? Just from looking at it, even getting it up close, a little bit right there, a little bit off, because we can see the green travel up into the forehead. So the calibration was slightly off when it came to paint. So we got a little bit of flesh tone showing at the bottom of the mask here, and a little bit of mask showing on the flesh tone head. The sculpt of the face, well done, right? As usual, the detail on it's looking great. I mean, just some of the general shape of it, the musculature in the face and all that jazz, I think it's really well done. A good, solid look to that. All right, let's check out some flexibility. So let's pop this in. Let's scoot him back some. Get that out of the way. Side to side. Oh, wow, look at that. That's great. Look at that side to side, right? So we've got it separate from the neck on a ball. The neck seems to be attached to the torso. All right, so side to side, good. Up. Wow, up is good. Of course, I mean, he's got to look at the stars. He's supposed to theoretically protect them, but he's got a ring speaking really bad and not the best things in his head. Looking down, great. So up and down are fantastic. So this one has some excellent mobility. So the one thing, of course, we've got to know, boom, full exorcist. We've got full rotation. So good freedom, even with this the collar on the shoulder pads, right? Now, let's see. Speaking of shoulders, let's check out some arms. Butterfly, good rotation here. Even though that shoulder pad's there, it does move it up because it's kind of a rubberized plastic to stay out of the way. It is not hindering the ability for this arm to raise or rotate around. So that is excellent to see, especially when we've got such a large piece. It can be something that gets in the way. We do have bicep tricep rotation, so that's good to see. Double elbow with pins, but excellent flexibility there. He's ready to show off. Again, hope you brought tickets for the gun show. Wrist, full rotation and good wiggle going on that one. Same thing on the other side, same flexibility. So let's see, we've got mid-torso, good movement there. For what it is, right? We've got good movement that helps with some of that flexibility. Good rotation up and down, a little bit of side to side. But then we also have great waist / hip rotation. So the only thing I'll say is something with it. Look how separated it is, right? The way that this is built, again, it's like another one of these, I don't want to call it a diaper, but I can't unsee it when I think it. Just the way that does, there's a lot of separation right there. Do you see that? How there's a gap that easily shows in the figure. So if you're doing too wild of a pose, you're going to have a little bit of a gap there. And yes, it's an action figure, but sometimes there are things that make it so obviously remind us that it is an action figure. And that's one of those things right there that just kind of stands out. So flexibility. Got that same joint in there with the legs, and excellent, right? We've got the Emerald Knight split. Nothing really getting in the way, even if the, I don't want to say the, this area, right? Doesn't really get in the way. It's a rubberized plastic, so it does flex a little bit and doesn't really cause too much of an issue. I don't feel any thigh rotation, oddly enough. Oh, no, that's interesting because there's all these lines to hide it in. I felt certain that it was going to be there. But you know what? In turning it, I don't see anything. I'm trying my best. Double knee. Top one moved easier than the lower one, but there we go. Good flexibility on that. Normally it's the lower one that moves easier. No calf rotation, but we do have that same capability with the foot, the up and down, and the good old ankle breaker, as well as, boom, toe articulation. Okay, I mean, of course it's toe articulation. It's McFarlane Toys. One could almost think I missed it when going through another figure, and yet it's still there. Okay, so there we go. Let's take a closer look and see about some paint apps, see if there's anything that stands out. Okay, so we already looked at the face. Excellent job there. Slightly off on the calibration of it. This is molded plastic, and they molded it in one that looks very metallic, right? Space-like. So that's kind of cool to see. The logo in the middle, I don't want to say Xbox, but it just keeps crying to me to call it that. You can see the white kind of bleeding over onto the actual symbol there in the middle, right? The butterfly or Xbox shape. So not terrible, but definitely some opportunities when we look close enough, right? The white comes up on there. There's a little bit of green kind of peeking through in different places, obviously because we've got white paint over this green metallic pearly plastic. The other paint, right, throughout the figure, I'm going to say, like, really pretty well done. Occasionally there's a little bit of almost like an overspray, but, you know, it's not terrible. It's hidden underneath right there. This is pretty clean, well done. Sometimes from like first glance, this seems like it's a little bit richer of a green than here, almost like maybe the paint was getting a little low when this part was painted versus this, or something about the way it lays on the plastic. The plastic does seem like it's the same material. We've got the separation right there on the wrists and everything, and the forearms. Decent. I mean, there are just random spots where some black shows through, right? It's common with these things, right? There's going to be points where it shows through, but there are some points of imperfection, like where it either got past the masking or something went wrong and it just kind of got a little bit of overspray. But this is all stuff where you have to look very closely. If you hold him back, you really can't tell. Even when you know it's there, even up close, you had to look pretty close, or I did. But there we go. And he stands, obviously, very well on his own, even with a toe popped up. I don't know if you can see that. But he just plopped up right just fine by himself. So there we go. Pretty good looking guy right there. And let's check out the last one. And that will be Ultraman, or the Crime Syndicate / Earth 3 version of Superman, right? Several different storylines and stories for him, but ultimately the negative version of Superman had different versions of the Kents and what the life was with that, but none of them positive experiences, and no real positive results from it for Mr. Ultraman himself. Actually ended up being a very, very bad guy, resulting in the death of a few people, or the ending of life. So there we go. There's our stand, and there is our Ultraman fighting Staro. So there we go. There's Ultraman, and that's our last build that we're gonna have, old Staro. But let's bust him out, right? So let's get the rest of our guy, Staro, or lady, right? There was a queen, right? It was a Staro queen was the thing that was the big end battle of this, I think. Spoiler alert for those of you who are going to immediately go run and read the Crime Syndicate series. So let's pop some of these out. But, you know, if you're interested in Earth 3, it has had various different iterations. It's come and gone. It's healed itself. There's all kinds of different stories behind it. So it's really kind of fun to look into, to see everything that's happened, right? So there's a lot of creativity and a lot of different things have gone through. And there's our body hugger. Got to point that out. There's our Staro eyes, but I need to just rotate it around here real quick. Anybody else seeing Simba? Yeah, we got a Simba head there, right? That's our not a hidden Mickey, but a hidden Simba. Okay, let's pull old Ultraman out. And look, I'm gonna say, just flat out before we dive too deep into it, I am always a sucker for any version of Superman, really. So I was happy to see it. Even though he's a bad guy, he's a really cool looking bad guy. Not just because he's Superman, not just because he has the color palette, but I mean, look at that face. It'd be cool to see, you know, the non-red-eyed face of that Superman used in a few different places. You know what? Let's switch to manual focus because that is just not working with me. There's that face. Let's pull it close. Look at that. Very well done. I mean, that's definitely an excellent, ideal Superman face, right? If we didn't have the red eyes, or he was a little bit more friendly looking, that would work on a lot of different Superman sculpts. But let's break it down. Speaking of those red eyes, solid job on them, right? So you can see it. There's a little bit showing through around them. So when it comes to getting those red eyes and looking like they're about ready to fry something, I would say McFarlane Toys has it down. A little bit of red shading underneath there. Eyebrows, pretty cleanly done. Around the lips, nice little bit of different color to show that, and very, very small, very thin lined lips. The head, the shading of the face, a little bit darker than the neck, right? You can see there's a little bit of a differentiator there between the shades. Hair sculpt, looking good, right? Well, we all wish we could have hair as fancy as that. that going up in the back, but all the different separations of it. It is a black color, but it almost looks like there's a little bit of blue in there, but it's not as obvious as Superwoman's, but it does look like there's a slight, maybe a dry brush in there. Do you see that? It's kind of some blue, not quite as much as Superwoman, like I said. Okay, so let's talk about some head mobility. The neck is attached to the torso, or it is fixed. The head is separate from it on a ball, so I'm very happy to see that. Never a fan when head and neck are attached and we don't have that separate ball piece to move around, right? Because we need that ability for the side to side, right? So side to side, decent, especially when we tilt it this way. Tilting it back that way, not quite as good unless I hold it. Let's check the up and down. Up, really good, right? Up, up, and away. So he needs to be able to look up. I can even let go and it doesn't reset itself back down. Down, not too bad. That could almost be considered looking straight on. But I'll forgive it for the up. That's a really good looking up to the stars or seeing what's coming, you know? So there we go. Moving on, let's check out the shoulder. Butterfly, good rotation, good up and down. Nothing getting in the way. Nice rubberized cape. So bicep and tricep rotation. This one has a little bit of the catching like Superwoman's had, but it's not as bad. It can still make it around. Just the musculature, you know, I think the bigger we make these muscles, the more difficult it is for them to travel around with that big U, trying to wrap around that larger shoulder or deltoid. Double elbow, great flexibility, right? Old Superman's got to be ready to flex, but I will say that it is alarming as much as that detaches. I've seen that in some of the McFarlane toys elbows. There was a Harley, I think the one in the gold. It was very off-putting because it's supposed to be just like a bare elbow, but the way that separates so much, it's a little off-putting, like I said. Okay, so no forearm rotation. As we can see, there's no line there. Wrist, different. It's a larger ball there, but it does have the ability to move back and forth. We've got some good wrist wiggle going on there, right? So good. Same thing on the other side. Same thing with the wrist, that larger ball, but good wrist wiggle going on. So no complaints there. Mid torso, we've got good flexibility on that. I don't really see anything getting in the way, right? So what was it? Owlman had some musculature getting in the way. We do have the musculature back here, but the torso, the upper portion, is big enough that it clears it, right? So he's a lot more barrel chested, I guess, as they say, so they can have a little bit more clearance. Here, we've got this same rubberized piece that we're kind of used to seeing on this whole line. And the rotation, it doesn't do the same thing quite that we saw with the Emerald Knight, right? Or Power Ring. So yeah, you still get a little bit of a gap, but it's not as much, right? See, we don't see that obvious separation. This goes just high enough, or maybe the joint down here is just tight enough to not allow that to happen. Legs, decent. That is as far as they'll go. I can push a little bit harder, but I don't want them to pop loose, especially after my Owlman experience. So this is getting in the way over here. So it is rubberized plastic, but it is hindering the leg's ability to do the super split, which makes sense, right? He's Ultraman. He's not Superman. He can't do the super split quite right. Double knees with pins. Excellent flexibility there. Looking pretty good. And comes back around. The pin's got a weird gap right there, but you know what? That's okay. Foot up and down and good rotation on that, and toe articulation to boot. See, it doesn't look as painful as it did with Superwoman's because we could see her feet, and this is just I mean, yes, it is painful. In theory, I've not had it happen. Around on the back. Right, so it's Superman. So we're dealing with a blue and red suit, and there's not a whole lot going on there, which is fortunate because that means all this blue cast plastic, right? Whether it's rubberized plastic or hard plastic, and the color matching pretty decent, especially if you're dealing with rubberized plastic onto cast plastic. I can't really see too much of a standout. Cape looking good, all rubberized plastic stuck attached to it. I do look forward to, you know, maybe there'll be some new capes from the third-party developers out there. Or, you know, that some of the existing Superman capes will work just fine. But let's check out some of these paint apps. Let's get a little bit closer. There's very few, right? So we already looked at the face. Let's look at the chest emblem, which is a separate piece that has been attached to the chest. I believe it might even be sunken in a little bit. Yeah, you can see a cutout on the chest. So that's an excellent little detail. It's not just painted on, right? Of course, detail, right? It's McFarlane. And then as far as the paint, The good news is with it done, this yellow may very well be painted onto the chest. It may be. But this red was attached to it. So the yellow could have had some bleed out, but this red rubber plasticky piece looks like it was cast maybe in that color. So that helps to mask any kind of overspray on the yellow. So everything looks very good in there, right? So we don't have any red bleeding onto the yellow. We don't see any yellow onto the blue or vice versa. It makes it a very clean, clean lined logo because of that approach. So excellent. Big kudos on that one. That's a lot of extra attention to detail. Because then we've got these silver pieces here. And as you can see, there's a lot of depth to the piece itself, but the silver doesn't wrap around. It's all a superficial painting, right? Just the front of it. And some of it's missing, right? So we got some blue showing through there. And on that one up at the top. None around on the back, which is fine. But that's, you know, and then we got the red down here on the calves. And a little bit of blue popping through in certain spots. You can see it like right there. Who am I to judge, right? Look at my thumb. It needs to be updated. And then a little bit of blue right there. But, you know, all in all, pretty clean. And yet again, as I always say, if I've got to look that close, I'm going to say it's pretty well done. Let's see how he does, how he behaves with the cape. Will he stand better than Owlman? I don't know. Those capes always seem to weigh him down. There we go. Yep, and he stood on his own with very little coaxing. But that's been Ultraman. Well, let's move on and take a look at our buddy Staro. Of course, nobody's friend. As we mentioned, all the body huggers, right? So we've got 4 of them, one for everybody. Staro likes to share, you know. He's equal opportunity when it comes to possessions. So let's bring all the pieces in and let's see about putting them together. Can we figure this out without any instructions? I believe in us, right? Because if we look at that, that looks like that one just goes right there. So, yep, pretty simple. Snaps into place, so that's good. A little bit of line showing through, you know, how perfect can it be, right, when you're assembling something like this? And then just kind of looking at the way this goes, there's a wave to that. So it probably snaps in right there to match up. That one matches up using that wave a little bit cleaner than those two straight across. Let's pop this one, also a little bit cleaner. Man, that is a cool looking character already. And then let's flip it around and just plug the eyes in there and lose our little Simba logo. So there he is. There's Staro. Look at the detail on this guy. I mean, how cool is that to have a giant Staro figure cast? I mean, from this rubbery plastic, some hard plastic, like with the eye and things like that. It would really be cooler if it lit up, right? Hopefully somebody will make a light that can go in there, maybe like through there. The teeth, very well done, right? It's just creepy, right? It reminds me of a Kraken, right? From the Pirates of the Caribbean. So you can even see like some of the gum comes up on these teeth, whether it was intentional or not. The purple coming up there is a great add, right? Because it should have a little bit of that. All these little suction cup pieces, all just a little bit of paint detail splashed into all these little ridges and whatnot on there. So yeah, excellent. I am a fan of this. I mean, if anybody wasn't familiar with Staro or you weren't a big fan, hopefully you've seen the newer Suicide Squad movie, which was just absolutely hilarious. And I was thrilled to see old Staro make an appearance. Now, this isn't the exact same version or look, but this is the one that fits with the Earth 3 crime syndicate where they came and attacked that Earth. And boy, was it a battle. So yeah, check it out. But that's it. That has been our Staro Build-A-Figure wave. All right. Okay, and here's our 4-person crime syndicate Staro Build-A-Figure wave. Ultraman, Power Ring, Owlman, and Superwoman, right? No real complaints on these. Just a few things that stood out that we mentioned. Small paint app issues. The leg with Owlman, as you can see, we've got that resolved, and he stands just fine on his own with the team. So, questionable team, questionable morals, but very well done figures. All right, I highly recommend them. Well, that about does it. Thank you, as always, for checking us out and for joining on this collecting journey. Look for a couple new videos each week, if not more. Be sure to subscribe and click that like button. It would really help us out, and it would mean a lot to me. If you'd like to see some more videos, there are a couple of quick links on your screen right now for you to check out. But no matter what, thanks for taking the time, and we are all in this world of collecting together. let's look out for each other. Thanks.